Today we're going to be talking through Chapter 21, Checking for Understanding. This is from a book called 50 Strategies for Teaching English Language Learners, and this is strategy number 21. With teaching English language learners, it's very, very important that we do check for understanding because many times they believe they should just sit there quietly and not say that they don't understand something, or they may not have the language or vocabulary skills to be able to tell you exactly what it is that they don't understand. They may also believe that since you have just taught them a lesson as their teacher, that they should understand everything that you have just taught. And if they don't, they may just say, well, I didn't quite get it, but it was my fault and I should have understood it. So the other things we need to look for is they may have long pauses, they may give answers where they're not really sure, they're just trying to say something to please you. So for all these reasons, we need to ramp up our checking for understanding skills. This is also something that I've seen in the book Teach Like a Champion 2.0, right at the very beginning. They do talk about checking for understanding, which is not for English language learners, but for all students. It's tremendously important that we do that. So what you would need to do is think about what questions you would ask, because just saying, do you understand? Or got it? Or okay? They're going to feel that, well, we shouldn't really say anything. So one of the strongest strategies that we can do is everyone responds. So 3 ways that you can do that. The first way, you can have simple answer cards. They can hold up a color. So this would indicate no, this would indicate yes, or this could be true, and this could be false. This way, when you ask the class and everyone responds, if they want to say it's true, they can hold up the green card, or for yes, they would hold up the green card. You can observe your students and see, well, how fast are they answering? Are they looking around to see what everyone else is answering, or do they just know right away? What's true? I know. This helps you, and you can actually have a class roster with columns for what you're going to be teaching, and you can use a strategy where if if they answer right away, you can put a little plus sign. Yes, I know this student understands this, that's a plus sign. Minus sign, maybe they're a little hesitant, they're delayed, they're kind of thinking, and then they put it up. They got it, but it was slow. And the ones who are really have no idea and they're looking around and it's a long pause and then they put it up and they don't look sure still because some people are having one answer and some are another and this student had no idea, you can put a question mark next to that student. Another one that we use in my class very frequently, especially during number talks, is, well, do you agree with the strategy, or do you agree or disagree with the answer? So if they agree, they do thumbs up, and they can do it just right here. So they're not having to go like this and everybody can see them. If they're maybe a little hesitant to have everyone else see their answer, they can do it here. So mostly just they're looking up at the teacher can see it. So yes, I agree. Yes, I think it's right. No, I think it's wrong. And then you can ask the student, well, why do you disagree? And if they're not sure, it's sideways like this. So this is a great way everyone responds. The other way they can do it, which we also do very frequently in math, is everyone has a small whiteboard. We have the little erasers and they have their marker. So everyone is going to be writing their answer on their whiteboard and they'll turn it over until it's time for everyone to show their answer. And again, you can see, well, who gets it written down very quickly? They wrote it, they were sure, they got it right away, they put their board down, and who's taking longer? They can't see the other's boards, but they might be trying to look around. So also you can use the plus, minus, and question marks on your roster. Then when you say, okay, show me your answers, you can see right away who has what, and at this point they can't change it or say, oh, I knew that. So you get a good sense of everyone in your class, who got it, who understood it, and who did not understand it. The other thing that you want to do, as I said, is observe what's going on. You can tell when a student really doesn't know and they don't want to be called on. So you can make a note. Well, I need to follow up. This student needs some extra help, maybe in a small group. The other thing is adequate wait time. Some of the students are a little shy and they don't want to respond. right away, or they want to think a little bit about their response. So in my class, when I have another student and they're raising their hands, oh, I know, then I'll just say, wait, we're waiting for this student. So kind of like this. The very persistent ones like this, or I might say, wait, we're waiting for this student to respond here. The other thing is if you use body language, that's more friendly and less threatening. So you can lean forward a little bit. You can have sort of a half smile and just be waiting. If you are concentrating or too serious, the student may feel that that's a negative. So you wouldn't want to be standing there like this, waiting for them to answer. You'd want to be expected, like we're having a fun discussion. The other thing is reward your students. So if they do participate, even if they didn't get it quite right, a lot of times you can help them to know that they know more than they think that they know. So you could, even if they just throw out something completely off topic, just say, well, that's a very interesting subject, but what do you think about, and go back to what you're talking about, so that you're still giving them some positives, but while we're redirecting back onto the subject. So then if they're saying an answer to a question and they're not quite sure, you can start giving them some hints so that they know if they're in your class and they're stepping out and they're talking and participating and trying to give an answer, that they will have some support and they won't just be left hanging in front of the whole class where they don't know the answer and then it gets passed to someone else and they feel ashamed. So with my students, I've often given them little hints and parts of the answer or something so that they can be successful. And in that way, we have much more lively discussions now than we did in January when I first took over the second grade class that I'm working with. So the other thing that you can do, because you are working with English language learners, is you can teach short mini lessons on how to respond. So what we're actually teaching is academic language and a skill of how to respond and discuss and ask and answer questions. There are a lot of resources that you can find with sentence stems. So they have them for math, they have them for class discussion, they have them for a lot of different academic topics, and that's great for all the students, especially I'm in early elementary. They need those skills, all of them do. But especially if you have struggling learners, your English language learners, you might want to get a small group together. And one thing that's suggested in this chapter here is you would have a small group where you're teaching them who, what, when, where, why, and how. Excuse me. And then if they're answering a question, you can train them to use complete sentences, which also increases their vocabulary skill. So the example in the book was if they're asked, what color is your coat? They would say, my coat is red, instead of just red. So a recent training that I went to, it's a program called Time to Teach, and they have this here, Teach Twos is what they call it. So these are little behavior lessons, which are not exactly about responding to questions, but it gives an idea of how you would break something down and explain it very clearly. So let's find a good one here. So following directions, you would show them the positive way, the negative way, and the almost but not quite. So for following directions, quiet voice is number one. Number two, eyes on the speaker. Number three, hands and feet still. Number four, listen to all information and wait to ask questions at the end. And number five, begin task immediately when the teacher is finished explaining. And then they also demonstrate the wrong way to do it, which for a class discussion, you wouldn't need to do that. But the positives, being extremely specific and giving the steps. Well, what does that look like? What's the expectation? Some of our English language learners have been either in a very different school environment or just at home, or maybe not even in school at all, or completely different expectations. So breaking it down to very specific, well, when we're answering questions and discussing in class, this is what we do. And it may seem like over teaching, but I found with my class, teaching very specific behaviors, this is the positive exact right way to do it. This is exactly what we want. And then the teacher demonstrates this is not the way we want to do it. This is negative. And then the almost but not quite. That has really helped my students to be very clear what is expected, and they feel more secure because they know exactly what I want them to do. And they know exactly what it looks like and exactly what it doesn't look like. So if you're teaching how to respond to questions or how to do a class discussion, that is an excellent method. Just break it down, over teach it. And then here they had a little sample of the chart with the student names, the plus, the minus, and the question mark. So it's very important that we do get this right when we're checking for understanding, because we need to differentiate our instruction, and we cannot do that unless we know for sure where each student is, their range of proximal development. And if we can form our small groups to bring up the students that are a little behind, that is going to greatly increase our effectiveness as a teacher.